You go to a gig, and all of a sudden, three guys start yelling.
Tamlalika! Metallica!
Metallica!
Yeah!
So I'm guessing you don't want to end up like any of those guys who pretty much sound like a Pokemon repeating the same name bands over and over and over again. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing bad in liking and enjoying all of the classics. You know, Master of Puppets, Cowboys from Hell, Backstreet's Back. And I'm not here to judge you or tell you that you should listen to this band or the other band. But given the case that you find yourself in a music rut, or you are just going through a phase that you realize that you haven't listened to any new bands in over 20 years, or you just got burnt out. It happened to me. Or you just barely got into rock and metal and want to discover new bands and new sounds and new music. So I put up a list of a few things you can do in order for you to get into music rehab. No specific order. I'll just go to duh, that's obvious, to that escalated quickly.
Number 1.
Try to get into a music streaming service. This is something I normally have mixed feelings with, but, huge but, it's almost a necessity these days. And I'm one of the guys who will always encourage you to go buy a physical copy of whatever album you like. But in this case, for practical purpose, you are going to need a music streaming service. You will have instant access to a whole lot of music, a whole lot of bands and albums. Not every band is going to be there and not every album is going to be there, but it's going to be enough for you to start. If you have to choose one, I would recommend Spotify. It's the most known music streaming service out there. Trust me on this, long gone are the days where surfing on Soulseek trying to find the most true cult black metal band out there.
Number 2.
Obviously, the idea here is to go for something new, regardless of its music genre. If you don't think of anything and nothing comes to mind, you could go to the extreme opposite of what you are listening to right now. It might be country, techno, new age, whatever the hell it is. By forcing yourself a little into an unknown territory and going outside of your comfort zone, this will make you expand your belief system, everything that you already have inside of your brain.
Number 3.
If you compare any new band to Kill 'Em All or British Steel, then my friend, you are doing nothing. And you are going to find yourself once again into that infinite music fatigue death loop.
Number 4.
Encyclopedia Metallum, best known as Metal Archives. If you're into metal and you don't know this site, honestly, this site is pure gold if you're trying to find new bands or information of your favorite bands. You can browse bands by genres, subgenres, country of origin. You can go there and even submit bands that are not registered there. And there is something very special there that is going to help you a lot in this. There's a little button called Random Band. Every time you press that, it's gonna, guess what? Show you a random band. And it's really fun. I use this thing at least once a month. And it has gone from I will need to summon Satan to find this EP to oh they look like Ronald McDonald from hell, and to oh well, this is pretty decent.
Number 5.
Listen to the entire goddamn album. Yes, Amy, we know Master of Puppets.
Can't take him away, he's mine! He's my best friend! And you can't take him away!
Number 6.
Do you remember that awful Cannibal Corpse album you listened to back in '95? How about you give it a second chance? As we grow, so do our ears and our tastes. As you may find yourself hating something you liked 5 years ago, well, the opposite also happens. You might find yourself loving a band that 3 years ago, 4 years ago you listened to and you didn't like. And it happened to me repeatedly.
Number 7.
Go to gigs. 2020.
Number 8.
Just like going to the gym, doing sports, meditating, or whatever the hell is that you do in your everyday life, you're gonna need to add at least 1 hour or 45 minutes of music time. And this is really easy. I mean, like, you can do this going riding on the bus, riding on the bike, which is basically what I do, or I used to do every single day going to work. The idea is to always be like listening to music, listening to that new album, listening to that new band. This is something you are going to want to do every single day or every once in a while, in order for you to once again feed all of that curiosity that is going to wake up by listening to new music and new bands.
Number 9.
To create a nice music listening experience, I encourage you to do something you love while you are listening to something new, something you just find. Cooking a meal for yourself, enjoying a good beer, a good wine, while you cook, while you listen to new music. That's what I do, it's really fun. You can also get into vinyls, or even CDs, playing music from vintage technology. And the idea of all of this is that basically you're going to get a whole new experience by training yourself to start listening to vinyls and learning how the equipment works, and all of that is going to create an amazing atmosphere. You can meet new people, you can exchange vinyls. Honestly, it's really not that expensive. You can find vinyls from 20 bucks, 20 euros, 15 euros, depending on the band, obviously. And also you can find equipment that is cheap.
Number 10.
LastFM is some sort of social media that will display every single song you played since you registered. You download a program that tracks every single song that you played out of your favorite music player. All of this information is going to be shown in your profile. And it's really cool that once you have an account for, let's say, 5 to 4 years, you can see how many times you play that song or how many times you have listened to that album. And it's also really cool because actually LastFM will recommend bands depending on the music that you are listening to. I have found great bands thanks to LastFM. And also you can meet new people, you can see people who are listening to that same album you are listening to, and people who have the same music taste that you have, like basically they match all of the bands and all of the songs that you have listened to.
Number 11.
I used to frequent a lot of forums and a lot of sites back like 8-7 years ago. And trust me when I tell you that I guess that 30% of the music and bands that I listen to and that I know nowadays, they have come through recommendations. They have come through talking to people, through sharing music and to seeing other people and talking to them. These forums, they have so many different threads on genres, subgenres, bands, musicians and whatnot. And basically you are going to be forced into looking for new music in those forums. And by talking to people, like something that I always do every time a buddy of mine comes visit, we create a new playlist on Spotify and then we just start talking. Every single time a band pops into my head that I want to show to him, I put that on the playlist and then he does the same. And all of a sudden we have like this 60 song playlist of different bands and we feed each other with new music, new information, new bands. It's really fun.
Number 12.
Any old other metal webzine or website will have a dedicated place for new releases. Go there and just pick a band that you don't know, grab the name, throw it on Spotify and listen to that album. It's worthwhile and you can find something you really like and you've never heard before.
Number 13.
Maybe you could set yourself a goal of new discoveries. Let's say that for this week I'm gonna find 3 new bands. And don't go crazy, don't go like 1 album a day because we're gonna get saturated by so many new information. Let's keep it simple. Let's say 1 album per week, 2 albums per week. And that way you are always going through new information, new music, and it's gonna put the little brains of yours to work. So that's it for this list. It rhymes, so great. Honestly, every single thing that I said here, I do it myself. I obviously put every single point that I go through every day or every single time that I'm trying to listen to new music. And all of this was because, as I said in the other episode, I gone through a really tough burnout. Actually, I wasn't listening to any music at all, and that scared the shit out of me because I used to enjoy so much listening to music. It was such a huge experience, so gratifying. It was so fun and so great to find a new band or something that I've never listened before and that I was so crazy about. So I know that feeling. So I really hope you find this useful. If you think that I missed something in there, just add it in the comments and maybe we'll do something about it. Thank you so much for watching this and bearing with me through all of these points. Till next time,